Gracie loved to go fishing on occasion, having learned from her dad. It was a good way for her to clear her mind sometimes. While out one day, she notices a boy also fishing in the same pond. She looked at him for a while and really liked what she saw. She decided to go strike up a conversation with him. His name is Jeremiah, and Gracie was immediately interested in getting to know him better. And she got a very good read on him. She even found herself talking about her late sister, Nancy, which was mad because she never does, and she's only just met him. They agreed to see each other again. They go to a restaurant even though Jeremiah was unsure of going. He tells her that it could be bad news for him if somebody didn't like seeing a white girl with a black man. She promised to proceed with caution, and she would protect him. Jeremiah loved her fearlessness and the way she smiled at him. Even though they got a few weird looks, nobody said anything to them, and even if they did, they were mutually very interested in one another. Gracie loved his quick wit and love for his family. He was the eldest, and they bonded over that. He was very hardworking and family-oriented with having a whopping 7 siblings. Gracie was falling fast and hard for him. Their romance moved quickly, although mostly in secret. Gracie was heartbroken and hated that they couldn't show their love in public. But they were in love and couldn't stay away from each other. Jeremiah tried to break up with her once because he was scared. They knew it could be dangerous for Jeremiah if they were caught together. She refused to accept the breakup and told him she would fight for their love. They became experts on romantic places to meet in private. He showered her with flowers from his mom's garden. He couldn't stay away from her because he was in love too. Jeremiah told Gracie to wear her best dress and to meet her at the lighthouse. She met him there, and the view was immaculate. Between the view and all of the talk of the future, Gracie felt so close to Jeremiah. He asked her to officially be his girlfriend, and Gracie accepts without a second thought. Jeremiah told her that their life would be difficult because they would have to live in secret, but he would do anything to make it work with her. Gracie felt unbelievably happy and lucky to have found her life partner. They decided that they would lose their virginity to each other. It was passionate and gentle. Jeremiah told her repeatedly during that he was so in love with her, and he would love her until the day he died. Gracie painted only pictures of love now. She was on cloud nine. In a cruel twist of fate, Jeremiah was drafted in World War II to fight in Germany. He told Gracie that he was being shipped out later that day. Jeremiah promised her that he would make it back to her. He promises himself to her and gives her a ring to signify that promise. Gracie's heart broke, and she feared Jeremiah wouldn't come home. It wasn't a goodbye. It was a see you soon. They share one last kiss before he has to leave. Go off, sis, I guess. Anyway, Gracie was distraught after Jeremiah was shipped out. Jackson noticed that his daughter was gloomy, so he asked her what was wrong. She hadn't told anyone of her relationship with Jeremiah, but decides to tell him everything. He is surprised that Gracie had fallen in love with a black man, but not disgusted as many people in their generation would be. He tells her that you can't control who you fall in love with, and he would support her no matter what. She discloses to him that she is thinking of volunteering for the war as a nurse. Eleanor comes clean to Anita about her relationship as well. Gracie discusses her plan to volunteer to be a nurse and asks her thoughts. She thinks it's a great idea to follow her heart. She thinks it's also the highest form of patriotism to volunteer for her country. This admission was so eye-opening for Anita that she decides right then to join her best friend as a nurse for the war. Eleanor bakes a cake for Augustus' birthday. He ages up into a teen today. This was bittersweet for Eleanor. Her only boy would be drafted into the war after this birthday. She was so scared that he wouldn't come back to her. She needed him to come back. Happy birthday, Augustus. Augustus is creative, cultured, and lazy. Augustus wants to be a musical genius. After he serves his country, of course. Augustus was excited to fight for his country, and was happy to have his sister stationed near him. Jackson was so incredibly proud of his daughter. Eleanor is scared for her children, but she thinks what they were doing was so courageous. Here is the military post that our Dicksons and party will be stationed. Jeremiah was shocked to see Gracie at his station and almost couldn't believe his own eyes. Their reunion was everything that Gracie had hoped for. Augustus was disgusted by the sight of his sister cohorting with a black man. The shame that it would bring their family. Jeremiah couldn't let the love of his life be disrespected like that, so he punches Augustus. Augustus would not let this stand. Jeremiah told his love that he would never let anyone hurt her. He would not allow anyone to hurt the love of his life. During a battle, Jeremiah was shot. She had a sneaking suspicion that it was her own brother who shot Jeremiah. Gracie was in shock at seeing the love of her life shot, and in a bad way. She sat at his bedside and sobbed after she performed surgery on him. She did everything she could do, but his prognosis did not look good. After waking, Jeremiah was weak but insisted he had to be in Gracie's arms. They hugged for a long time, and Jeremiah repeatedly uttered that he would love her until his dying breath. It turns out that his dying breath wasn't far off, and he went limp in Gracie's arms. Gracie screamed in horror and panic. The love of her life died in her arms. How could she go on? It was determined that this was a result of friendly fire. He was shot by one of his... Gracie took the death of Jeremiah hard. Her whole life revolved around him to the point where she volunteered in a war to be with him, and now he's gone. She was comforted by a fellow soldier who knew Jeremiah well, Dave Webb. He was also saddened by his death and appalled by her brother's actions. She, Dave, and her best friend Anita often told stories to uplift their spirits. Dave was a saving grace in her life. Dave was promoted to senior officer and transported to a naval base. He used his rank to request Gracie as a nurse on the ship. Gracie was grateful for the change of scenery, but felt Jeremiah's presence slipping away from her. However nice the gesture was, nothing made Gracie feel better. Until it did. She started to feel other emotions other than sadness and despair. She began to feel a semblance of happiness again. Her Her sadness turned into deep appreciation and, dare she say, feelings for Dave. He chipped away at all of her baggage and made her feel like a person again. There was a strict no fraternization policy while on the boat, but they found way around that, often meeting at the boiler room to speak. She thought that Dave felt the same, but she wasn't certain. She received confirmation when he kissed her. Things progressed fairly quickly after that. They slept together for the first time in the laboratory. Unfortunately, someone reported them to Dave's superior officer, and Gracie was sent to him for disciplinary action. He stated that she had brought shame to their country to spread her legs during a world war and told her she would be sent home. Gracie celebrated her 18th birthday by herself in her new home. Happy birthday to our girl! She is lazy, a master baker, and a free spirit. Gracie adjusted back into her life in the States rather poorly. She celebrated her birthday and new home by setting her kitchen on fire. Poor Gracie cannot catch a break. She didn't want to tell her family yet that she was sent home. She escaped into different worlds by reading when her thoughts were too much. She always tuned into the radio to hear what kind of progress the United States was making in the war. She prayed for Dave's safe return. Towards the end of the war, Augustus was in battle when he was struck by a bomb. 2 days before he was scheduled to go home, Augustus got what was coming to him. Dave wrote to Gracie to inform her of the fate of her brother. She didn't know what to feel. She was sad because that was her brother, and she loved him, but he also shot and killed the great love of her life. She felt happy that her love's death was avenged, but so sad for her parents losing another child. Gracie decided to tell her parents that she was home after the death of her brother because they needed to know she was safe. Gracie told her parents all about the atrocities of the war but decided to leave out the part about Augustus shooting and killing Jeremiah. As mad as she still was at him, she wanted her parents to be able to remember their only son as a hero. Her baby sisters have grown so much since she had last seen them. Eleanor and Jackson's relationship has taken a dark turn since losing Augustus. They argued Gracie often. Bakes for her family, and they enjoy freshly baked cookies together. Losing not just one child, but two has put their marriage in jeopardy. Hopefully they can come together in times of mourning instead of apart. The family of 6 was sadly now a family of 5. Gracie sobbed in her bed after her family left. She felt immense guilt that she had survived the war, but her brother was being transferred back home in a pine box. She decided that she was going to continue to do good for the world and applied to be a nurse. She would use the training she received in the war to help people every day. Gracie started her victory garden. The United States won the war, and that was to be celebrated. She baked when she was nervous or stressed, and she was both of those things. Gracie was scared that Dave didn't make it. He hadn't wrote to her in a while. She had already seen so much death in her life and didn't think she would be able to survive this one. So she prepared for the worst. Still, she went on with her life because she had to. She got up every morning and forced herself to continue. She went to work and would always feel a little bit better because she was helping people. During a wicked storm one day, she heard a knock at her door. She was shocked to see Dave standing there waiting for her. She was so happy that he was alive and here with her. She didn't waste a moment and engulfed him in a kiss. She led him inside and gave him a proper homecoming gift. Dave was more than happy to receive it. She couldn't stop kissing him. She was scared that if she did, he would disappear. Didn't really leave after that. She never formally asked him to move in, but she didn't need to. Dave pulled his weight around the house. He was home while looking for work. They spent every free moment together. As unorthodox as the start of their relationship was, they now could live in normalcy. Gracie was falling deeply in love with Dave, and he with her. After months of living together, Gracie found out she was pregnant. She was shocked by this fact, but surprisingly the shock wore off very quickly, and she became excited. She ran to her childhood home to share the news with her mother. She was taken aback by the abruptness of her daughter's pregnancy, but was excited to have another baby around to shower with love. She told her father of the pregnancy too. He wasn't as accepting of her pregnancy because she was unmarried, but supported her anyway. Confident of her pregnancy now, she goes home to Dave to tell him the news. He is shocked but elated that she was having his baby. He says that they can't have a baby out of wedlock, so he needs to rectify that mistake. He gets down on one knee and asks her to be his wife. She is hesitant due to the fast nature of everything but accepts. Dave immediately finds a job in the military for good benefits and great hours. He needed to support his family. Dave feels proud when he waters the victory garden. They won. Dave prepared for re-entering the military by getting into shape. Gracie and Dave didn't waste a moment to get married. Gracie was already showing, but not significantly enough to turn many heads. This was a delicate matter that they needed to either sweep under the rug or deceive people by saying she got pregnant immediately following the wedding. Introducing Mr. and Mrs. Dave and Gracie Webb. Our beautiful bride. Eleanor was so happy for her daughter and hoped she would have the life that she always envisioned for her. Anita was there to wish her best friend the best in marriage. Gracie was so happy that she made it back home safely and could attend. Gracie spent much of her pregnancy painting pictures for her unborn child's nursery. Dave was a model husband and would massage his wife's back to help her swollen joints. She reciprocated since he also worked a lot. Dave was so excited to become a dad and wanted a large family. Gracie loved to go into the nursery and daydream of what her child would be like. Gracie went into labor in the middle of the night. Dave felt ridiculously unprepared for his wife to go into labor. Gracie was given medication to minorly sedate her since she came in 8 centimeters dilated. They informed her labor was progressing quickly, and she would likely deliver in a matter of hours. She was in the home stretch, and she would meet her baby soon. Dave tried to be there for Gracie as best as he could. He showered her with love and kisses. He felt her tummy and told the baby he couldn't wait to meet her. Since it was the middle of the night, Dave napped on a bench while Gracie got closer. After only a few hours, it was time for Gracie to push. Pushing was the worst part for her. It felt like she was being split in two. She gives birth to a healthy baby girl. They name her Nancy after her baby sister who never got to grow up. Everything about Nancy was perfect. From the top of her smooth, bald head to the tip of her tiny toes. She hopes and prays that Nancy will have a long and happy life. Gracie found it very difficult to adjust to motherhood. She absolutely loved her daughter more than the world, but she felt so tired and stressed. Gracie and Dave caught up over breakfast and gushed over their beautiful little girl. Dave helped with Nancy when he could but prioritized himself over his wife and daughter. His sleep was more important than his wife since he was bringing in the income because Gracie took a leave of absence from nursing. Nancy never slept and had trouble feeding. Gracie prayed for an easy baby but got the opposite. Gracie loved Nancy so much and was so happy to have her, but she wished that her husband would help her out even a little bit more. Eleanor was beside herself with the joys of being a gran. She fell in love with her instantly. Jackson was such a proud grandfather and was going to love his granddaughter with all his heart. Even Anita came by to see her goddaughter. The twins are now teenagers. My goodness, they grow quickly. She tried to make sure Dave knew she loved and appreciated him. Nancy ages up into a toddler. She is fussy and wild. Nancy toddler fit check. Gracie likes this stage of motherhood much better than infancy. Nancy was much more self-sufficient and didn't need her at all hours of the day. In fact, Gracie loved to play on her own much more than she liked playing with her parents. Dave sat Gracie down one day and told her he wanted to start trying for another baby. He would even ask her this when he doesn't even help with Nancy. She firmly states she does not want to have more children. He says that it is the woman's job to take care of the children, not his. Poor little Nancy was present for their entire argument. To blow off some steam from his explosive argument with his wife, he heads to a bar. While at the pub, he strikes up a conversation with a beautiful young woman. He learns her name is Violet Dunlap and she's visiting her family for a month but lives in Maine. He is insanely attracted to her and slightly intoxicated, so he flirts. She immediately reciprocates the flirting, so Dave goes all in. Dave is allured by her charm and beauty. He wants her so bad. They end their night with a smooch and a promise to see one another again. When Dave gets home, he demands an apology from his wife. She tells him that he must be stupid if he thinks she is going to apologize for something he caused. She tells him she doesn't even want to look at him and that he should sleep on the couch. Dave checks in on Nancy, fast asleep. He sometimes wishes he never got Gracie pregnant. Dave sleeps on the couch, far away from his. Gracie is taking Nancy to her parents' house for the weekend so she can think. Dave wishes them well and is actually happy they won't be in the house for a few days. Dave tries to stay faithful to his wife but cannot stop thinking about Violet. He caves pretty quickly and calls her and invites her over to his house. She is very happy to hear from him and tells him she will be right over. He is so excited to see her. He wants Violet so badly, and he gets what he wants. He thinks this is how a relationship is supposed to feel, fun and flirty. Not stressful and constant arguments. They move into the bed and have sex. Dave feels on top of the world. He is getting off on cheating on his wife in the bed they share together. Little does Dave know, Gracie forgot her suitcase, so she had to travel back home. Gracie catches her husband in bed with another woman. She is in complete and utter shock. Her husband is a dirty cheater. She can't contain her anger and slaps him silly. Go off, queen. She doesn't just focus her anger on him, though. It takes two to tango. She slaps Violet as well, calling her a whore. Violet leaves quickly after that, and Gracie goes into the bathroom to light a smoke. How could Dave do this to her? The audacity of that man to bring another woman into the house that she owns. Once she picks Nancy up from her grandparents' house, she tries to compose herself. When she gets back home, she decides to kick Dave out of the house. He refuses to leave, stating that since they are married, The house is legally his. She threatens to burn the house down if he doesn't get the hell out. Poor Nancy is once again in the middle of her parents' all of the stress of catching her husband cheating was too much on her body. Gracie suffers a massive heart attack and passes away in the hallway of her home. Nancy is the one to find her mother's body on the floor. Nancy doesn't know what to do, so she stands there crying for her mother to wake up, but she never does. Her father comes home after 2 days to find the atrocious scene of his wife deceased and his daughter by her side. Nancy spends a lot of time in her room playing with her toys after that. She was traumatized and suffering in silence. Dave wastes no time on mourning his wife and quickly moves Violet into the house he once shared with Gracie. He is too busy with his mistress to pay her a bit of attention. It was almost like Nancy wasn't there at all, invisible to her own father. Nancy is quite neglected by her father, actually. Violet made herself right at home, demanding all of Dave's attention instead of giving that attention to his inconsolable daughter. Violet's agitation with Nancy grew as she got negative pregnancy test after negative pregnancy test. Nancy was a constant reminder that Violet herself was struggling to conceive, so she resented her existence. Nancy celebrated her birthday on her own since her dad couldn't be bothered to bake her a cake. She is creative, a Capricorn, and a perfectionist. Nancy child fit check. Dave had enough with Violet's badgering to abandon Nancy. If he had to choose one, it would be Violet. He tells his daughter that he is just not equipped to take care of Nancy anymore, and he is sending her off to live with her grandparents. Nancy asks why he is abandoning her for a vile woman. He replies that it's better for everyone this way, and she'll thank him for it later in life. At first, Nancy found it hard to adjust to living with her grandparents. She loved them deeply, but they weren't her parents. She lives in the same room that her mother grew up in, and that allowed her to feel closer to her. She wished her mom didn't have to die because of actions her arrogant and careless father caused. Slowly, she adjusted to living with them and even liked it. They encouraged her creativity and allowed her to express herself freely. She really loved her grandpa Jackson and felt very close to him. They spent so much time together, and it felt good to finally have a father figure. Eleanor had a rough time with the adjustment of Nancy moving in only because she missed her daughter. Jackson's time has come and he passes away from old age. Both Eleanor and Nancy are there to witness his demise. Eleanor is heartbroken, completely and utterly heartbroken. Jackson has been the love of her life since they were kids. How would she live life without him? Nancy felt empty. Everyone she's ever loved in her life has either died or left her. Nancy is in a deep funk for several months, not talking to her gran. She was afraid if she got close to her too, she would die. She did her schoolwork as she was supposed to, but she was just going through the motions of life. In a day, slowly, the world started filling with color and happiness again. She has had a few depressing years, but that didn't mean it had to be a depressing life. Her gran taught her how to cross-stitch, so she did that often. She gave her gran a chance and allowed her to get close. And they became incredibly close. Nancy thought her gran was the strongest person she's ever met, dealing with so much loss but still finding a way to survive. They played chess, and Eleanor told her stories of her grandpa and of her mother. She even shared stories of Nancy's namesake, even though it was hard for Eleanor to talk about. It is Nancy's birthday. She is aging up into a teen. Eleanor made one of her famous birthday cakes to celebrate the occasion. Nancy was grateful for this birthday. Nobody had ever made her a cake before. Nancy teenager fit check.